Imagine the excitement of finding something old, the moment when you brush away dirt from hundreds of years ago to see something shiny. This is exactly what happened in the middle of the United Arab Emirates. Scientists who study old things, called archaeologists, were working at a place called Malayha in the area of Sharjah, and they found something truly amazing. Hidden under the sand were some of the oldest coins ever found in this part of the world. These weren't just any old pieces of metal. They were small silver circles that told a story going back over 2,000 years. They are from the 3rd century BC, and these coins are a real, touchable link to the old people who lived, bought and sold things, and did well in these lands long before the big cities grew out of the desert. These tiny silver treasures are more than just old money. They are like windows into a world we had forgotten. Finding them was a really big deal for understanding the long history of the UAE area. It showed that this place wasn't just a quiet, out-of-the-way spot, but a busy center connected to important events happening all over the world. The coins themselves are like time capsules, carrying messages from a very old past. They talk about old empires, famous leaders, and huge trading routes that went all over the Arabian Peninsula. Each coin, when you hold it in your hand, feels like shaking hands with history itself, a real piece of a story that had been quiet for so long. The discovery at Malayha, and later at another important place called Ed-Dur, changed everything we thought we knew about the early history of the area. Before these finds, much of the old past was a mystery, put together from broken pieces of pottery and faint outlines of old towns. But these coins gave us solid proof that we could date. They showed that the people here were using smart money systems, which means they were doing complicated business. It suggests a society with rules, with leaders, and with connections that went far beyond their local area, linking Arabia to the bigger Greek world. Holding one of these old silver coins, you can almost feel the energy of the old marketplace. You can imagine the hands it passed through, a merchant selling valuable frankincense, a sailor who just came back from a long trip to India, or a local leader collecting taxes. These coins weren't just kept in a box. They were used, passed around, and were a part of everyday life. They show the start of a long and interesting money journey in the Emirates, a story written in silver that would keep going for the next 2,000 years, showing the changing luck and identities of the people who call this land home. So, where did these first silver coins come from? The story starts with one of the most famous people in history, Alexander the Great. When Alexander marched his armies across Asia in the 4th century BC, he didn't just take over lands, he spread Greek culture, ideas, and, very importantly, Greek-style money. His empire made a lot of silver coins, called drachms and tetradrachms, which became the main money used by everyone back then, much like the US dollar is today. These coins were known for their good quality silver and their special designs, which were recognized and trusted all over the known world, from Greece all the way to the borders of India. The most common design on these coins showed the head of a hero, often thought to be the great Heracles, wearing a lion skin hat. This strong picture was a sign of power and being connected to the gods. On the other side of the coin, you would usually see Zeus, the king of the Greek gods, sitting on his throne holding an eagle and a staff. These pictures were more than just decoration. They were a way to show off the power and authority of Alexander and the Greek empire he had built. His name, Alexandru, was often written on the coin in Greek letters, so everyone knew where it came from and what it was worth. After Alexander died, his huge empire was split among his generals, who started their own ruling families. In the Middle East, the Seleucid family took charge, and they kept making coins that were very similar to Alexander's original ones. These Seleucid coins, still showing pictures of Heracles and Zeus, traveled along the trade routes that went through the Arabian Peninsula. This is how Greek designs made their way to the shores of the Arabian Gulf. Local merchants and leaders in places like Malayha saw these coins, knew they were valuable, and started to use them in their own trading. The effect of these coins was huge. For the people living in southeastern Arabia, this was probably the first time they ever saw or used coins. The designs were so powerful and so widely accepted that they became the standard. They were a reliable way to save money and an easy way to trade valuable things like pearls, incense, and spices. The arrival of these silver coins from the Greek world was a major turning point, connecting the area to a worldwide economy and setting the stage for the creation of its very own special money. As time went on, the people of southeastern Arabia didn't just use the Greek coins, they started to make their own. At first, these local copies were almost perfect copies of the originals. Local coin makers, maybe in places like Malaya, tried to copy the designs of Heracles and Zeus as closely as possible. This was important because the coin's value was linked to how familiar it looked. A coin that looked just like an official Alexander tetradrachm would be trusted and accepted in the market. These early local coins show how much the Greek way of life had entered the area's business and culture. However, over many years, something interesting started to happen. The local artists and coin makers began to add their own special touches. The once real-looking Greek-style pictures of Heracles slowly became more simple and styled. The smooth, classic lines were replaced with stronger, more symbolic shapes. This wasn't because the artists were less skilled. It was a clear choice to change the design to fit local art tastes. The face on the coin started to look less like a Greek hero, and more like a picture of a local leader, a powerful sheikh from an Arabian tribe. The biggest change happened on the backside of the coin. The sitting figure of Zeus started to change, sometimes becoming just lines and dots. More importantly, the Greek writing Alexandrou was replaced with writing in another language, Aramaic. Aramaic was a common language for trade and government across the Middle East at that time, and its writing was more familiar to the local people. Some of these coins even had the name of a local ruler, written in Aramaic. One name that shows up is Abiel, a ruler whose identity is directly connected to these coins. This change is incredibly important. It shows the area was moving from just copying a foreign power to showing its own identity. By putting a local ruler's name on a coin, the leaders of ancient Arabia were making a strong statement of being in charge and independent. They were saying, "This is our land, and this is our money." The coin was no longer just a copy of a Greek coin. It had become a clearly Arabian coin, a mix of Greek traditions and local culture. This process of changing things shows a confident and smart society, one that was taking control of its own money matters and creating a symbol of its own power. Centuries passed, and a new and powerful force came from the Arabian Peninsula, Islam. The rise of Islam in the 7th century AD brought big changes to every part of life, including culture, laws, and of course, money. The new Islamic leaders understood how powerful money could be as a symbol of faith and statehood. They moved away from the old coins that showed pictures of foreign gods and rulers, which were not allowed under Islamic rules. Instead, they created a brand new type of silver coin, the Islamic dirham. This coin was a huge change from everything that came before. The Islamic silver dirham was beautiful in its simple design and powerful in its message. It had no pictures at all. Instead, both sides of the coin were filled with fancy Arabic writing. These writings were taken straight from the Quran, the holy book of Islam. Usually they included the Shahada, the main statement of Islamic faith. There is no God but God, and Muhammad is his messenger. The coins also often said the name of the ruling leader, the city where the coin was made, and the year it was made according to the Islamic calendar. This made the coin a carrier of the faith and a statement of political power. As the Islamic Empire grew, so did the use of the silver dirham. It became the main money for a huge trading network that stretched from Spain in the west to China in the east. The UAE area, with its important location on the coast, played a key part in this network. Ports along the Gulf became busy centers for sea trade, connecting the heart of the Islamic world with India, Southeast Asia, and Africa. Silver dirhams, made in famous cities like Damascus and Baghdad, flowed through these ports in huge amounts, used to buy and sell everything from spices and silks to pearls and wood. Finding many of these silver dirhams across the UAE clearly shows how rich the area was during this golden age of Islamic trade. These coins were not just used for local shopping. They were money used all over the world, trusted for being pure and having a standard weight. Their presence tells a story of a world that was deeply connected, where faith, trade, and culture traveled together along the sea routes. For the people of the Emirates, the silver dirham was more than money. It was a symbol of their belonging to a bigger Islamic civilization and their active part in its thriving world economy. After the big Islamic empires became less powerful, the money situation in the Gulf area became, well, much more complicated. No single empire controlled all the trade, so no single type of money was the most important. Instead, the area became a real mix of different kinds of money, a melting pot of coins from all over the world. Local rulers didn't make their own coins in large amounts during this time. Instead, the merchants and people of the Trucial Coast which is what the UAE was called then, used many different foreign silver coins that arrived through the busy sea trade routes. This shows how many different business partners the region had. One of the most important and widely used silver coins during the 1700s and 1800s was the Maria Theresa thaler. This big, impressive silver coin was first made in Austria in 1780, and it showed a picture of the Empress Maria Theresa. It became so popular and trusted in the Middle East and Africa because it always had the same amount of silver. So much so that the Austrian coin factory kept making it with the same date, 1780, for hundreds of years. For people in the Gulf, the thaler was the main coin for big deals. Its reliability made it a stable way to hold wealth, and it was used a lot in the pearl trade, which was really the main part of the local economy. Another very important silver coin was the Indian rupee. As the British Empire became more powerful in India and the Gulf, the rupee became more and more common. The British made political and trade agreements with the local rulers of the trucial states, and with this came their money. The silver rupee, with a picture of the ruling British king or queen, became the standard coin for everyday shopping. It was so common that people's pay was given in rupees, and prices in the market were listed in rupees. The wide use of the Indian rupee shows the strong business and political link between the Gulf and British India. The fact that the Austrian thaler and the British Indian rupee were both used at the same time, along with other money like the Persian charan and the Ottoman lira, paints a clear picture of how international the region was. A merchant in a coastal town like Dubai or Sharjah might have a bag full of several different types of silver coins. They would have to be good at figuring out how much silver was in each one and what they were worth compared to each other. This time period shows that the UAE's history has always been about connecting with the world, with its business success tied to the ups and downs of international trade and the silver money that made it all work. Before the United Arab Emirates was formed, the money situation was, honestly, a bit confusing, with different kinds of money everywhere. There was no single unified money for the region at that time. Each of the 7 areas that would later form the UAE was separate, and the people living there used whatever money was most practical and available. This meant that, on any given day, a market in Dubai could be busy with people buying and selling things using coins and paper money from several different countries. This system, while it worked, could be confusing and not very efficient, needing constant math and swapping between different money systems. The main money for much of the 1900s remained the Indian rupee. Its stability and the strong trade connections with India made it the unofficial money of the trucial states. However, in 1959, the Reserve Bank of India created a special currency just for use in the Gulf area, known as the Gulf rupee. It looked exactly like the Indian rupee but was a different color and couldn't be used as money back in India. This was done to stop people from illegally moving gold between the Gulf and India. For a few years, the Gulf rupee became the standard money, which, did make things a little simpler for the people of the Emirates. But this time of using the Gulf rupee didn't last long. In 1966, the Indian government made its money worth less, and the Gulf rupee lost a lot of its value very quickly. This caused a big economic problem in the region. Because of this, most of the Emirates, including Dubai and Abu Dhabi, decided to stop using the rupee. Dubai and Qatar together created their own money, the Qatar and Dubai Rial. Meanwhile, Abu Dhabi started using the Bahraini dinar. For a short but complicated time, you could go from one emirate to another and have to change your money as if you were crossing an international border. This time of having many different kinds of money really shows how broken up the political and economic situation was in the region before they united. While the people shared a common culture and history, they didn't have a central group to manage their economy and provide one national currency. Relying on foreign money, from the Indian rupee to the Bahraini dinar, showed that they needed more cooperation and to be in charge of their own future. The money confusion of the late 1960s was one of the many practical problems that pushed the rulers of the Emirates towards the big decision to unite and form a single independent country. The year 1971 was the most important moment in the country's history, the formation of the United Arab Emirates. With the birth of a new country came the urgent need for one of the most powerful symbols of national identity and being in charge, a single unified national currency. The old system of using Qatari and Dubai Rials in some Emirates and Bahraini dinars in others was just not going to work anymore for a united group of states. The new country needed its own money to manage its economy, make trade easier between the Emirates, and, honestly, to show a united face to the world. The journey towards a national currency had begun. 2 years after the country was founded, on May 19, 1973, the UAE Currency Board introduced the new national currency, the UAE dirham. The name dirham was chosen on purpose, making a historical link back to the old silver dirhams that had been used in the region for hundreds of years during the Islamic Golden Age. This choice was a nod to the region's deep history as a center of trade and its place within the bigger Arab and Islamic world. The new dirham, with the official short name AED, replaced the old riyals and dinars at the same value, making the change smooth for everyone. The design of the new coins and paper money was carefully chosen to show the culture and identity of the newly formed country. The coins had symbols that were central to life in the Emirates. For example, the 1 dirham coin showed a dala, a traditional Arabic coffee pot, symbolizing being welcoming and generous, which are key values in Emirati culture. Other coins showed pictures of date palms, representing farming and food, and a dhow, the traditional sailing boat that was the main part of the pearl fishing and trading economy for centuries. These were not just pieces of metal, they were symbols of a shared history. The introduction of the UAE dirham was a huge success and a very important step in building the nation. It brought economic stability and really made life simpler for everyone. For the first time, people from Abu Dhabi to Fujairah used the same money, strengthening their shared identity as citizens of one country. The dirham quickly became a strong and stable currency, respected all over the world, thanks to the country's growing oil wealth and smart money management. The birth of the dirham was more than just a money change. It was a statement of economic independence and a main part of the modern UAE. In our modern world, the coins we use every day are no longer made of valuable metals like silver. The UAE dirham coins in your pocket are made from strong and practical metals like copper, nickel, and steel. The value of these coins is not based on the metal they contain, but on the promise and authority of the UAE Central Bank. The time of silver as everyday money, where a coin's worth was linked to how much it weighed in valuable metal, has become history. However, this doesn't mean that the story of silver coins in the UAE has ended. It has simply started a new and, honestly, pretty exciting chapter. Today, silver has taken on a new role in the world of money, that of remembering special things. The UAE Central Bank often makes special edition coins, many of which are made of pure silver. These coins are not meant for everyday shopping. Instead, they are made to mark important national events, celebrate big milestones, and honor the country's history. They are beautiful works of art, made in small numbers for collectors and those who want to own a special piece of the nation's story. These coins connect the modern UAE back to the long and important history of silver money in the region. These special silver coins celebrate many different things. For example, special coins have been made to mark National Day anniversaries, honoring the founding of the country. Others have been created to celebrate the opening of famous places like the Burj Khalifa or the Louvre Abu Dhabi. There are coins that honor cultural events, efforts to protect the environment, and even the UAE's achievements in space. Each coin tells a story, capturing a moment in time and keeping it safe in shiny silver for future generations to admire and learn from. In this way, silver continues to be a powerful symbol. While it no longer works as daily money, it serves as a way to remember national history and pride. These modern silver coins are directly related to the old dirhams and the Maria Theresa thalers. They carry on the tradition of using valuable metal to show importance and value. For collectors both inside and outside the UAE, these coins are highly sought after, not just for their silver content, but for the history and culture they represent. They are a modern tribute to the UAE's amazing journey, written in the timeless and valuable language of silver. The long and winding story of silver coins in the United Arab Emirates is more than just a history of money. It is the history of the country itself, pressed into metal. Each coin, from the old Greek copies to the modern special edition ones, acts like a tiny history book. By following how they changed, we can learn about the people who lived here, what they believed, their connections to the outside world, and their journey towards becoming one unified group. These coins are a real record of trade, culture, and power, showing the deep and active history of this part of the Arabian Peninsula. The story starts with the coins of Malaya, which show us that over 2,000 years ago, this region was already part of a world connected by trade to the big Greek empires. The slow change of these coins, with the addition of Aramaic writing and local rulers' names, shows a growing sense of local identity and being in charge. Then, the arrival of the Islamic silver dirham marks a big change, placing the region firmly within a new world of faith and business that reached across continents, proving the area's important location on the sea trade routes. The centuries that followed, with different foreign coins like the Maria Theresa thaler and the Indian rupee being used, tell a story of a strong and flexible trading society. The region was a central point, a place where cultures and economies met, where merchants dealt with a complicated world of international money. This time highlights the area's lasting role as a crossroads. The money confusion just before the Union in 1971 serves as a strong reminder of how broken up things were, and it shows the huge achievement of creating a single, unified country with its own strong and stable money, the UAE dirham. In the end, this timeline of silver coins is a story of things staying the same and things changing. From old silver drachms to modern silver special pieces, these objects show how the people of the UAE have always been connected to the wider world while making their own special path. They show a journey from using foreign money to creating their own, a journey from different tribes being independent to becoming one nation. The silver coin story is a pocket full of history, offering a shiny metallic thread that ties the busy, modern United Arab Emirates directly to its rich and ancient past.